Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up.
Hello and happy Monday. Wow, we've made it back for another week here in studio, bright and early, Los Angeles. Guys, Chandler Parsons, Lou Will. This is our first and only last time we could talk about Thanksgiving. How was it?
It was fantastic. What's funny?
Was the food good or?
Food was great. My mom laid it down in the kitchen. Shout out to
Good boy.
P.
It was a good boy.
It was awesome.
You're a good man, Chandler.
Lou,
Yeah.
how was yours?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody brought something to the table.
Any
The
food
spaghetti was good?
We
Any
did
food poisoning?
No, we made it out. We made it out. We did it potluck style. Everybody cooked
How was the
something.
spaghetti?
Yeah, it was a spaghetti.
It's non-existent because everybody ate it, by the way.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, the internet lies.
I know. Well, the spaghetti started a lot of conversations in America.
I would have
And
killed
I was
for
here
some
for it.
spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. Spaghetti was good. Oh, I was sick on Thanksgiving. Thanks for asking.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys are selfish.
Well,
You don't care
you're
anymore.
the host.
You look great.
Shut up. We're going to start.
What are you, Phil Jackson? Why do you have a big booster
I
under
have
you?
no idea. Why is my chair? There we go. We're going to start the show right now. We're going to start with Anthony Edwards. Now I'm really low. You knew this was coming when the team was struggling, right? So prior to their win on Friday over the Clippers, they'd lost 4 in a row, 7 of 10. We had even said it on here that this is a guy who says what he feels, doesn't really hide emotions all that well, and he had had enough. Let's take a listen.
We've been trying to figure this out for the whole year, man. We thought this was, defense was our identity, and it's not looking like it at all. We don't know what our identity right now. Me and Mike was talking about. I think we soft as hell, like as a team, internally. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not to the other team, but like internally, like we soft. Like we can't talk to each other. Just a bunch of little kids. It's just like we're playing with a bunch of little kids. Like everybody, like the whole team. We just can't talk to each other.
I mean, it was coming, Lou. What'd you think?
You know what? I actually don't mind this. In the way that it's filmed, it looks like somebody's kind of
On their phone?
sneakily.
Almost just like chatting with him.
Yeah,
I felt like I was eavesdropping.
It looks like this wasn't supposed to be. For
It wasn't an interview. He was just
It
talking
doesn't look
to
like this
somebody.
was supposed to be for the public. So
Interesting.
I don't mind a messaging. I got it wrote down in my notes right here. Outside of Mike Conley, who's going to deliver this message? Who's going to be the guy that says this out loud to these guys? And I was okay with the message. I was okay with the tone. It looks like this was something that was supposed to remain behind closed doors. But if it didn't, and it's out to the public, and we're having our opinions on it, I don't mind this messaging at all. My only beef would be, he mentioned that he thought defense was going to be the identity.
Right.
It isn't. When you guys shoot so many three-pointers, you've changed your identity and how you play. Last game, and you shot twice as many threes as anybody on the team. If you want to change that identity, I would get back in attack mode. And being that you're the leader, everybody is going to follow suit. Everybody is going to play a more aggressive style of play. So when your most aggressive player on that basketball team, I don't want to say take his foot off the gas because he's still going to be one of the best players in the league and he's going to still lead this team to a lot of wins. But when he kind of changes his style and he's adding to his bag, which is the three-pointer this year, he's shooting so many, your team is going to follow suit. When you're shooting threes, it's hard to play an aggressive style of basketball like that. So I agree with him, but something has to change as far as the style of play for them to see what they need to see as far as their aggression goes.
Yeah, and he made this clear that he doesn't mean physically soft, right?
Right.
Like he doesn't, obviously they want the defense to be their identity. They're still a top 10 defense, but this means emotionally, this means mentally, like there's no accountability with each other. It kind of stems back to, I think, to the Rudy Gobert thing. That he wants the ball, he wants touches, how he was pounding into the ball. Then someone says something to him, then you throw his hands in the air, you know what I mean? So that, as like a man in that locker room, I think that's what he means, where there's no accountability. You can't hold each other accountable on certain things that happens within a game or practice. So this isn't a physically soft team. This is just, I think and clearly the team knows it. The team has issues, and this is a team that kind of had such a great year last year. Me and Lou always talk about the timing of that trade.
Because he's talking about identity. He's talking about who are we as a group.
Exactly, and if Anthony Edwards can't jump Rudy Gobert without him taking it personally, that is soft. Like that is, they should have a relationship, they should have a dynamic to where they can hold each other accountable and not take it personal and leave your feelings at the door. So I think that obviously is what he meant. But also, I was with Lou. I don't think this was like an interview. This was almost like he was just casually chatting with somebody, and obviously that's something that you want to keep in-house most of the time. But
So do you think teammates were mad?
I don't think they were mad because honestly, I think Anthony Edwards has the respect, has the clout. Like he has earned the right to say things like this because Outside of Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley, Joe Ingles, like this team is a young team, and Anthony Edwards is by far their franchise player, so he has the right to say things like this when their team is struggling.
The new guys aren't going to say it.
Right. New guys aren't going to say anything, but this I think was a good message from your best player that I have no problem with.
And I was gonna say, a lot of times when you hear these type of things and a guy sits down, he does an interview, and he says that the team is soft. When it hits the public, it's already been said privately. Like, this has already been a conversation in the locker room. So when I go out and say this, it's no surprise to anybody, a lot of the times. And again, looking at this just from being in the locker room and being around, I know that reporters and the media is now allowed back in the locker room since COVID days. It looked like somebody was doing something a little sneaky right there.
Because it's not mic'd properly to sound like it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and he's not making eye contact. It doesn't look like there's a scrum of reporters right there. It looked like he was just addressing something, getting this off of his chest, or having a conversation with one of his teammates. That's what it felt like to me, being in the locker room for 18 years. But who knows? But I didn't mind the messaging at all.
And he's got that personality where even like his charm of the way he's saying it, he's not trying to be a dick. Like he's not trying to take. Like, he's just literally trying to get his point across that guys, we need to be able to hold each other to a certain standard to get this back on track. We know we lost Towns. We know we made this big move. It's still early enough in the season. We can turn this around. But like, come on, let's leave our feelings at the door. Let's be on the same page, and let's not take anything personal. That's why it's so important when you have those relationships, those team dinners, those summer workouts, because you establish the boundaries of the relationship so you don't take anything personal when push comes to shove in the game. So this clearly, they haven't got to that level personally to not be taking things so offensive when it comes to the game time.
Like, he does not strike me as the kind of guy where you don't know where he is on any given day emotionally. He's an open book. And the fans also heard a little bit from him as well, because they booed back-to-back home losses last week. Fans were booing. He said, quote, "We're getting booed in our own home arena. That's so effing disrespectful. It's crazy." Calling out fans can be a double-edged sword, Chandler. I don't know how that plays out, but
yeah, I've done this before.
Shocking.
In Memphis, they were booing me after the first game. I said, listen, I'll treat every home game as if it's a road game. And I don't think that's ever the right thing to do. I think you want to have those fans on your side. You want to be supported by them through thick and through thin. And that's also part of sports. You understand that when you go on a losing streak or you're getting blown out at home, there's probably going to be some boos. And some of the nights you deserve that. But again, I think this comes down to Anthony Edwards. He has that clout, he has that respect of that franchise where he can say things like this. There's certain players that can't, and I understand his frustration, but it's never a good idea to kind of go against the crowd that's facing you. But this is all just frustration.
I mean, booing is tough.
This is winning cures everything, and they haven't got over that hump yet with this new team, with the addition of Julius, the addition of Dante. They haven't seemed to kind of hit their stride yet. So this is all just frustration that's kind of mounting, and the media coverage and all the expectations that they put on this year from such a successful season last year. It's all just kind of came to a head here. But Anthony Edwards, if anybody can say it, it's him.
Yeah. Listen, he's learning, and he's growing into his role as a leader really, really fast. And some of these are going to be valuable lessons, you know. Like, we could start at the top with Minnesota. You're past the discovery phase of who this team is, you know.
20?
Last couple of years, you can look at this team and say, oh, wow, we really got a lot of potential. We're going to do some special things. And when you build that, your fan base believes in it. They get behind it, right? And so when you make trades and when you don't level up to that area of success where they've became accustomed in this past couple of seasons, they have the right to boo if you have the right to call your teammates soft or we don't have the identity that we're looking for. All of these things go in the pot together. You know, all of these things are a melting pot of bad vibes from the top to the bottom, you know. So, you know, he feels like it's disrespectful, but listen, we're out of the honeymoon phase. You know, your fan base is allowed to hold you accountable just as much as you guys are allowed to hold each other accountable. We're all in this together. We're all trying to accomplish something. You know, a lot of these teams won't be anything without the fans, and the fans wouldn't have anything to cheer about if you didn't have a quality team. If I'm Ant Edwards, I'm taking this as a sign of respect because they're booing because they know that there's potential there.
Yeah, you're better than this.
Yeah, you guys not living up to the potential of the team that we know you guys are, and for that we're gonna voice our frustrations, you know. So this goes hand in hand. He has a great relationship with his fan base there. He's gonna be the leader of that team for years and years to come. So I'm sure they're getting on the same page. It's been a frustrating week for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but it's all
crazy. Like, I've never booed my team. Like I've booed a lot of things and a lot of people in a lot of situations. I've never booed the home team.
Yeah.
Very odd to me.
It's part of it. And again,
I get it.
They've been on such a high lately. Remember when they won the play-in or whatever? Pat Beverly stands on the.
Yeah.
This team is thirsty. This team is excited for a championship and for a great run, and they gave them, a little piece of that last year. So like the expectations.
And then they made a trade that is.
Then they make this weird trade that hasn't really panned out yet. So the fans are looking at it like we got worse. This is all hell's breaking loose. And Anthony Edwards is sitting there. He's putting the time in. He's putting the work in. He thinks we can figure it out, but also we are kind of soft internally, and I can't say this to this guy, and this guy's going to take this personally. So there are some issues here, but talent-wise, they still have a chance. They still have time to turn this around, but we talked about that trade, the timing of that trade just never made sense.
It just feels very one-sided as far as who won that trade, and it's probably confusing.
Well, and you watch them play, too. Like, it's simple math. The spacing just doesn't work. Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the greatest big shooters of all time. He works with Rudy Gobert. Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert, they don't really work offensively. They're still tough. They still can rebound. They still, as good as Julius is and as good as Dante was in New York, it just hasn't panned out. And it comes down to shooting. In this league, it's all about shooting. And now Anthony Edwards is shooting more threes than ever because that paint is clogged up. Because there's no lane for him to go. Because he can get double teamed. Because there's less shooting on the floor. So, again, I do think they have enough talent. I think Dante's going to start rolling a little bit, but. Cat made more sense to me on this roster.
It's a weird trade now in hindsight that we're about 20 in. Let's move on to the West. We got to talk about the Warriors here. The 4-game losing streak they currently find themselves in. It was not that long ago they were atop the Western Conference, and here we go. This is their upcoming schedule. There are obviously going to be some cup games in there that we don't know yet, but they've had 4 straight losses against Nets, Spurs, Thunder, and Suns. This is a pretty tough stretch coming up. Do we expect them to remain in a top 4 spot, Chandler?
No, and I don't think they ever were a top 4 team. I think they kind of shocked people early on how good they started. And when you do have the depth that they have, when you have a healthy Andrew Wiggins playing at the level he's playing, when you have Steph Curry on your team, Draymond's doing Draymond things. Buddy Hield was great. He's kind of came back down to earth a little bit. So I think they're talented enough to win some games, but to say they're a top 4 team in the West, I don't see that. And with that schedule coming up, that is brutal. So I think we're going to find out who this team exactly is the next 3 to 4 weeks. But I think they pleasantly surprised everybody with the start. They shocked me. I know I didn't expect them to get off that start. And the Western Conference in general is so deep. I can find 6 to 8 teams I think are better than them, but I'm not ready to write them off. Like I said, anytime you have Steph Curry, you have Draymond playing at a level, doing Draymond things, and you have that depth and that coach and that system, they're gonna win games. But looking at this right here,
also if you,
a top 4 team to me is a stretch.
That play inside is scary because they're coming. They're all coming. I'm including.
You like them as a top 4?
Not if Steph's not going to be healthy.
Well, he's got the tendonitis now in the knee, so.
Yeah, if Steph's not going to, you got to understand, he's the biggest building block in that building, right? And so everything is tailor-made for his style of play and how they play. That's the way that Steve Kerr is coached. You can even look at their offense and how they play. They play fast, they play up and down, they're going to shoot a lot of threes. All of these things are tailor-made for Stephen Curry. And so when you have him off of the floor, your personnel doesn't look the same. Your team doesn't look the same. The identity doesn't look the same. If you take Steph Curry off the floor, now you have to put the ball in Andrew Wiggins' hands. Completely different style of play for this team. They're going to be a mid-range shooting team. They're going to stop. They're going to post up a little bit. You're going to play a little slower, and it showed in their play.
And the success of Buddy Hield early, as good as he is, that is with the attention that Steph Curry gets. Like, this guy draws double teams. This guy gets blitzed. This guy creates so many open looks for everyone on that team. When he's out, it's a glaring hole. As good as Podziemski is, Moody is, they can fill a hole, but they're not Steph Curry, and they don't draw that attention on every game plan when you play the Warriors. It's to stop him, and that allows these other guys to get going, to get open looks. So I don't think tendonitis, at least it's not serious. It's kind of manageable, but just with that schedule and all these teams I'm looking at in the West, and the surprise of the Houston Rockets and the Memphis Grizzlies healthy, top 4 to me is a stretch.
What about this rotation situation? Because Steve Kerr earlier in the season said this is the deepest team he's ever had, much to the almost chagrin to a lot of people. And now here we are talking about, is that the problem? Steph's even sort of said maybe we shorten it a bit.
Yeah, I was always critical of this. Everybody was saying that this is probably the deepest team that they've had in a very long time, or Steve Kerr saying that this is the deepest team that he's coached. I was like, well, you know, some of those guys that are giving you quality minutes and giving you quality moments, those are added bonuses. You know, those are a plus. Those aren't things that you hang your hat on as a team every night to rely on for you to win basketball games. And so when it stops happening, you know, when some of these guys aren't giving you the level of success that they had before just by being active, you know, getting in passing lanes and doing all of these things, and then you play against different styles of teams and it doesn't work your way, then you have to find a way to shorten up their rotation and go to your go-to guys. Go to your meat and potatoes, your Steph Currys, your Andrew Wiggins, your Buddy Hills of the world. You got to go to these guys and you rely on them. You don't rely on the 8th, 9th guys on the bench to consistently give you something, especially when you're going down the stretch of the season.
And naturally, as the season goes on, as the playoffs come, every team shortens their rotation. And they already lost Anthony Melton to a season-ending injury. And Lindy Waters, as you know, as a bright spot he's been, I don't know if he's going to play this much come playoff time. Things like that, the rotation is going to shorten. But like it's the Knicks don't play enough, the Warriors play too many. Like what is there's not a right answer here, and I think you kind of factor in injuries and minute restrictions and load management, things like that. Coaches have to deal with all this stuff that used to not have to deal with. It's definitely a luxury having this depth, having the potential to go 10, 11, 12 deep, but at a certain point of the season, you like Lou said, you got to get down to your meat and potatoes, your sets, your rotations, and I think they will. I just think right now they're kind of getting valuable reps for all these guys, and they're going to kind of see what works.
It's time to talk about a feat that was accomplished by none other than the Washington Wizards. That's right. They lost every single game in the month of November. That is something. I mean, good or bad. The midst of a 14-game losing streak, 13 of the 14 losses have been by 10 or more points, Lou. Fix it? Go ahead. What do we do here?
Blow it up, atomic bomb it.
Jeez.
Atomic bomb it, blow it up.
What does that mean? Like just
this is two
fire sale.
This is consecutive back-to-back seasons where this team has been historically bad, and the cherry on top is no win November.
I love that for them.
For you not to win one game with all of this young talent that you know they accumulated in Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, even drafted Alex Starr. Bilal is a bright spot. I have nothing negative to say about that young fella. He plays hard. He does his part. And a lot of these guys, this is a bad mix of talent. It's not working from top to bottom. You've even replaced the coach. You did everything that you can possibly do to try to right this ship, and it got worse. And you know, a lot of times they say it's gonna get worse before it gets better. In this case, blow the whole thing up. Let's start fresh. What are you going to lose?
So what do? You keep Koulibaly and Sarr, or do you keep anyone?
You keep the two young guys because you know those are building blocks. You realize now that you know your guys that are your young vets of the team is just not working. Maybe they're not ready or poised to be in a leadership position where they can lead a franchise into wins, and people can feel how they feel about what I'm saying. It's in the numbers. You got 0 and 14 in the month of November. Like, there's no bright spots. You can't really, you don't hold your tongue about that. Like, these guys are better off being second and third options somewhere else. Very talented guys, but they're not ready to lead an organization, and it shows in the play. Not only this season, but last season as well. Blow this up.
Wasn't there a moment where Kuzma could have gotten out?
And I still think Kuzma can. I think Kuzma's a guy that teams will want. His contract is kind of friendly where he gets paid actually less the longer it goes on. I think there's a team like Dallas, Sacramento. I think someone like that could really use a Kuzma. Clippers. Valanciunas, I think he's a great fit for Oklahoma City or Lakers. They do have pieces that I think other teams would want. I think they're all touchable. I think as good as Koulibaly is, and Sarr being kind of that franchise, just drafted him so high in the draft. I think they have time at least, but I think they're all tradable. I think they're all touchable. I think they could put a package together to take any which one of those guys. And then, like I said, even a guy like Kispert, a guy like remember Brogdon said it was his dream to play here a couple months ago. And
That's not kidding, really.
Yeah. So it's tough, but I do think they have assets to kind of move off. But this team is the future isn't bright. Even what did they get the #1 pick? Cooper Flagg. Does Cooper Flagg make them a playoff team?
Blow it up. Like you
Starting today? Yeah.
Listen, if you can win a game on accident sometimes.
That's what I'm
Just
saying.
by playing hard, you put yourself in a position to win a game. To go 30 days with no wins, blow this thing
I
up.
think Kuzma and
They can
Valanciunas are their best assets
Yeah.
to trade. I think Jordan Poole, he makes too much money. I think he's staying there. I think the
he's
two young
stuck
guys
there.
are staying there. But so, and again, like what top 3 pick? Like, dude, those guys change this franchise. Like, they're in a tough spot. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned the light at the end of the tunnel because we do have a bit of their schedule coming up. You remember, we are just fresh off
doesn't
of the
matter.
Pistons
Unless they're
history.
playing Maccabi Tel
don't-
Aviv,
it
it's not
don't
getting any
matter.
easier.
Well, here's the
Listen,
deal. Remember
I
the
don't even
Pistons?
want to disrespect Maccabi Tel Aviv like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I don't
Like,
think you
don't
should, to be
disrespect
honest.
them like that. Don't
Here's-
disrespect. Listen, it
We
doesn't
got the ball. We have the
We can
Pistons
take the schedule
losing streak.
down. We can take the schedule down. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I could say.
They're
It
gonna run
doesn't,
for
it
it.
doesn't
Say
matter.
Rutgers. It doesn't matter.
You just proved it. You can't beat anybody. It doesn't matter about the schedule. It's no throw-ins, you know.
What if we get back-to-back seasons with historic losing?
But I don't even
We're
think
on our way.
I don't
That's
even think this is a
amazing.
We're
team
on
where
our
that
way.
coaching staff is like, look, guys, we have winnable games. Like, let's look at their last 12 games.
You
It
can't
probably,
say
it
that.
probably, I mean, it looks just like that. So
I know.
Come on, man.
It's a tough spot. And by the way, it's probably frustrating. It's probably miserable to go there every single day. Like losing is
I'm
never,
miserable for them.
Yeah,
I
like
can't
losing is never
imagine.
fun. I do think they do have some assets to kind of fix this temporarily, but it's not good. It hasn't
the
been good. They've never been
What
great.
is the
That's-
what is the
that's-
temporary
I think
fix?
that word
well,
hurts.
they're not going to win this year. I think the temporary fix is just to keep losing and try and get Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Ron Harper Jr. He's a stud. Like there are 3 good players.
Now I
in
feel
this
bad
draft.
for those guys.
Yeah, but their fingers are crossed. That you know what I mean. So it's tough.
And I'm not letting Alex Starr off the hook. You asked for this.
Sorry.
Star. Yeah, win a game out.
Disrespectful.
My bad.
Disrespectful.
My fault. You asked for this. You know, you didn't want to go to the Atlanta Hawks. I bet you he's licking his chops to be an Atlanta Hawk
it
right now.
sucks.
And he preferred to go to Washington, D.C. and start his career there. Again, I'm not trying to be super critical, but when you don't win a game the entire month of November, it's nothing positive to be said.
There really isn't. Okay, well, we'll end it on that fun note. Take a quick break. When we come back, the battle of the top 2 teams in the East. It went down yesterday. That's next.
Run it back, run it up.
This was a fun one. Celtics, Cavs. It's the 1-2 in the East situation. Celtics were on a 7-game winning streak, but they lost 115-111. Mitchell with 35, Garland 22, 5 and 8. Tatum finished with 33. You didn't have Jaylen Brown or Derek White in this one, but we're going to start with Donovan Mitchell here. He had 20 points in the 4th alone. He had 8 straight in 67 seconds. It's scary when he starts out a little cold and you don't know. You don't know when that version of him is going to pop up, and it popped up yesterday. Does this make them serious contenders when you got a guy like that?
Serious contenders, I don't see it. I really don't.
Wow.
And as good as they are and the progress they've made, and Donovan Mitchell's so good. Watching the end of that game, watching that 4th quarter, he is elite. He gets to his bag. By the way, Drew Holiday was guarding him, who I think is the best perimeter defender in the NBA. And Donovan Mitchell is just so strong. He's so crafty. The way he can get to a shot, the attention he draws gets everyone else involved. He's a big-time player. Evan Mobley's been so good this year. They've gotten so much production off their bench. This team is real. I just think that the Celtics are, even last night, no Derek White, no Jaylen Brown.
Fair.
The Celtics are still right in this position to win this game. I don't see any team in the East getting through the Boston Celtics. So
Well, you said it's serious contender.
Yeah, a contender would.
I don't know if they're. I don't know who wins the series. Them and the Knicks. Like I don't. I think there's. I think they still have work to do. I think they're missing. They're missing something. But listen, they have gotten a lot better. Kenny Atkinson has them playing on both sides of the ball. They defend. They play hard. Also, they've been healthy. All they're missing really is Max Strus, who will provide more outside shooting, obviously, but. Donovan Mitchell is an absolute stud, and they are not going to be an easy out for everybody. I just think the Boston Celtics are just way above everyone else in the Eastern Conference. So I don't see it.
I'll agree with you there. I think Boston Celtics are head and heels above everybody else. But when we talk about contender, I still feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers, they check all the boxes. They can guard. They got guard play that can score. They got bigs that can score. They got good coaching. They got depth. They got everything that they need to compete against the Boston Celtics. Now, Boston Celtics, they are a well-oiled machine, and they have an identity. They know their style of play, how they're going to attack games night in and night out. But when you talk about that, 7 games, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have enough to sit down, do their due diligence, and work on things that they can beat this Boston Celtics team. And now I'm not saying they will.
But they could.
They could. I'm
4
saying,
times?
I think they can contend. That's my fight. I want to be clear.
So it could go 7.
I want to be very clear. I think they can contend based on the way that this team is built, the things that they have, the assets that they have moving forward. They're going to be one of those teams that's going to be able to give the Boston Celtics a headache.
Think about this. They gave up 43 points in the fourth quarter. 2 of their top 3 players weren't playing, and they still were right there in the hunt. Tatum missed a little bunny there at the end layup, and Donovan Mitchell hit 2 crazy threes. But this is Boston Celtics. They don't fear this team either. Like they fully thought they could win this game. They were going to win this game even without Brown and White. So I do think. Listen, I think it's a hell of a story. I think they're great. I think they're going to be good for a while because that core is young and they've found a way to play at a pace they play at that works, and it's correlating to a lot of wins. It's just, I think this. I have too much respect for the Celtics right now to say that any team's going to come close to beating them 4 times. I really do. Even the Knicks, all of them.
Didn't Cleveland beat Boston the first game of the first time that they matched up this year?
Boston's the one that gave them their first loss.
Boston was the one that, okay, I got it back.
Was that the Cup game or the one before the Cup game? I can't remember the Cup games. Also, Atlanta beat Cleveland twice. Like, it's a very weird...
And lost to Washington twice.
It's a weird stretch going on.
I saw that. I was like, Atlanta beat Cleveland twice, but lost to Washington twice.
Home and home.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Donovan Mitchell, though, if you had to put him top what in the league? Top what player?
15.
Okay.
Top 15.
Lou,
He's an all-star. He's going to be in the MVP discussion just because. But SGA, Luka, Jokic, Giannis, KD, Book, Braun, Tatum, Brown, like there's so many good players right now, and he is one of them. He's an all-star. He's an all-NBA type player. He's putting up great numbers. He's being more efficient. The things he can, that player was insane. He literally just yoked Drew Holiday off of pick and roll there. He makes it look easy, and he's so exciting to watch. But I think top 15, maybe top 10 if you want to be a little generous.
Wow.
But I would put him probably like 14.
Yeah, the top player, it's tough for me because we have legacy guys. You know, we're automatically going to add a Braun. We're automatically going to add Steph in the books and these guys. Donovan Mitchell's outplaying a lot of these guys, but because they're legacy guys and their reputations and the bodies of work that we put in, we automatically put them in the conversations. But it's not too many point guards or guards out there that's playing better basketball than Donovan Mitchell right now.
No, he's a joy to watch. It's a
joy. He's doing his thing right now. So I don't want to put a number on it, but I think he's definitely going to be an all-star this year, going to be all first or second team NBA, and he's going to be right there in the mix with the rest of the top guys.
Can we talk about someone on the Celtics? Peyton Pritchard is so good at basketball. He's unbelievable. First of all, he's going to win 6th Man of the Year. Dude's averaging like 16 points in 27 minutes.
What's going on?
What just happened?
I was watching him last night. I'm like, this dude is dead nice. Then it sat in my head. Like, remember Drew Holiday was like the one-on-one player that is hardest to guard.
That's true.
Drew Holiday said Peyton Pritchard, and I was like, nah, no way. Then I've watched him, and I'm like, this dude is just dead nice. He can shoot. 6th Man of the Year, Peyton Pritchard. Carry on.
All right, there we go.
Anybody you want to shout out, Lou, or?
Yeah, man.
No,
he's good.
It's an observation that Chandler wanted to make, and this is the place to do it. Can we talk about the final 34 seconds of the game? We always joke in the NBA, like, 30 seconds is going to be like 20 minutes. This actually was 34 seconds on the clock. Was 17 minutes of your actual life that it took to go by. 17 free throws were shot. Look, Lou, what would you even do? This was a strategy thing. They didn't want to let the Celtics get a 3, so it kept going back and forth, free throw. You can't speed that up, can you?
I hate it. I hate it.
But this wasn't even because of like challenges or replays taking forever. This was just actual game plan.
Strategy.
So what I would say is, both of these teams need a speed guy, like a Dennis Schroeder, somebody that's going to get the ball and run the clock out, or something like that that's going to put pressure on you. Rajon Rondo was a genius at this in his playing career. He was able to burn 8-9 seconds just by being fast, being witty, and running in the backcourt. This was painful. It was painful to watch.
So long. 17
minutes to determine a game that had 34 seconds left in it. You know, I know the fans were antsy, you know, watching this game. It's like, okay.
It was insane.
Yeah, I don't know if this is something that the NBA can do strategically, but...
Can you make people run?
The problem...
Because they're lollygagging.
The problem is there's been so many teams burnt when they're down 3 and they don't foul, and they allow someone just to chuck up a 3, and then it goes to
That's
overtime.
another conversation.
And you can't do that with the Celtics.
I hate that strategy as well.
But so that happened a couple of times there where they're just, every time someone has a 3-point lead, you are fouling, you are making them make free throws till there's like 6 seconds or less, and then they try and...
But in return, by the way, also another thing, fouling back.
Exactly.
And then they foul back. But then the guys, they try and like sneak it and throw it off the rim real quick, and every time they cross the line, oh my God, teams need to practice taking their time like they're actually going to shoot a free throw and then miss it fast. They get it and like think they're going to catch everyone off guard and just go to, and it never works. It never works. But I would do the same thing if I was a coach. If I'm up, I know we disagree on this. If I'm up 3 and you have the ball, I am fouling every time. I don't care if it takes 27 minutes.
Why would you?
I'm not leaving luck. I'm not letting you shoot it.
Pressure on yourself to win a basketball game that you've done enough up until that point to win.
Because I'm not letting one bogus three-pointer tie
because they will shoot threes all day.
That takes me into overtime. But if I'm up 3 and you foul me, now the pressure's on me to make free throws. I smoke one, I make a 3, I'm still winning the basketball game. When you make a 3-pointer, we're going into overtime. Why ever put yourself in that position?
I normally agree.
Put the pressure on yourself?
I feel like with this you can't though.
I'd rather put the end of the game.
No, this is different. This is we're off the rails with that, but this is different, you know. But again, it starts with that strategy though. It starts with the analytics of that. Of if we're up 3, we're gonna foul, but in return, we're going to foul back. And we're just going to do this all the way until the clock is run out.
This was insane.
You know what's crazy? When I watch a game, too, I get excited when a team's out of challenges because I know their players aren't going to do this, and I know it's not going to prolong the end of the game anymore. Like, as soon as they go, oh, we can't use it here, they're going to be out of challenges. I'm like, thank God, because now at least the game will end, and it won't take this long.
The little things that excite Chandler. 17 minutes. I fed the dog. I went into the
room.
I turned it off. I turned it off enough.
I came back. It was still going. It was a lot of free throws, a lot of fundamentals. 1s and 2s in the West, also with a big battle. The Thunder and the Rockets. Man, this Houston Rockets team is something else. They beat them. They're a half game now out of West. 119-116 was your final. Van Vliet with 38. Şengün finished with 20, 14, and 9. SGA had 32 points. They are so hot right now, this Rockets team. And why is what I want to know, Chandler.
You know what? First of all, they play on both sides of the ball. They're so balanced. They have no 20-point scorers, but they have 3 or 4 guys that can go get you 30, 40 any given night. Fred's been great. Şengün is a big that we always talk about compared to Jokic. He's one of those guys he's you can play through him. You can put the ball on the block to him. He creates, so much attention in double teams. Jalen Green's this explosive scorer. So this team is for real. And again, they are deep. Guys like Dillon Brooks, he's just playing right now. You don't see all the drama until the end
of the end of this one.
He defends. He knows his role. Udoka, again, he's went from a known coach to now I think he's like the most underrated coach. Players love playing for him. So this is just a super balanced offense, and they defend, and they have a little bit of everything. They have great guard play. They're deep. They are one of the deepest teams. They're almost so deep where they have good players that need to get traded just because they need opportunity elsewhere.
Surplus.
But this is crazy. This is a surprise to me, though. Just like I was surprised at the Warriors, I'm more so surprised at them. You told me 25, 30 games in the season, the Houston Rockets would be the 2 seed. I wouldn't have bought that a month ago.
So can we buy them as a top 4? Are we doing this? We can, right?
You know what? Because I'm looking at the standings here, and I can't find an angle to say no.
I can. The Mavs, the Nuggets, the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, they're all going to figure it out, I think, eventually. This team is red hot. You know what else is good?
But 4? They could do 4.
4?
Last year.
That'd be a huge success if they finished
Warriors
the top.
But check this out. Last year, we spent so much time talking about young teams establishing themselves and making a run for it. Houston has something to say. Another team that we're not talking about, Memphis is back healthy with Ja Morant.
I like Memphis more than Houston.
So now these young teams that were on the cusp that dealt with a lot of adversity last year, that laid eggs in the Memphises and the Houston Rockets, they're back in the conversation. Ime Udoka, he was one of the top coaches before he had whatever happened to him in Boston and landed him down in Houston.
Whatever happened.
Now he's back at the helm of this basketball team, and they're playing like one of the top 4 teams. I can't fight it.
They're 15-6. It's 21 games.
Okay, are we doing
They're
math?
15-6. It's 21 games. You know why else they're great? Jalen Green, he's played 21 games. Şengün, 21 games. Dillon Brooks, 21 games.
So you're saying people are going to miss things?
They are healthy.
Okay.
That is huge. They are healthy. They have the continuity. They have balance. This team is good. No doubt in my mind. I just think the West is so stacked. Like, there's so many teams. Like Minnesota right now still scares me more than Houston because I think there's time for them to figure out. But listen, Memphis, I love Memphis. They're healthy this year. Ja Morant back. Clippers, Lakers, like there's so many good teams. It's just hard to put a number.
Spurs are 11-9.
Spurs are right there.
Yeah,
so.
thank you.
I just don't want to do the same thing that we did last year. I don't want us to go.
So you're buying? They're a top 4 team, and come June.
Okay, top 6. I'll do
healthy.
6.
And listen, that's the catalyst to any of these teams being good is being healthy. So at this point in December, I'm sorry, this is a healthy basketball team, and they're playing like
The healthiest.
Yeah, and also they don't have a lot of adversity hanging over their heads. These guys are paid. Their coaches is locked in. Their roster is locked in. They understand moving forward. This is who we are. We are the Houston Rockets. Nobody's coming to save us. Nothing is getting added. Nobody's getting taken away. We're stable.
Yeah.
We have stability. That's a great way
that.
to thank you, Beadle. They have the stability that's needed to be a top 4 team. Some of these other teams haven't established that yet, so I'm buying.
They're a dynamic team.
Since when are you anti-Houston? I don't
No,
understand
I'm
what's
not.
going on
I love
here.
Houston.
I just anti-Houston when I like Houston.
I just think the West is really, really good. But listen, this team's they're the second-ranked defense too in the NBA. So even when they don't get 30, 35 points from their stars, they still can win games. So I do like that. But I just think the West is really, really deep. We'll see. To me, if I had to bet right now,
the West is banged up.
Are they going to
The
finish
Houston
the top?
Rockets are not.
Are they? What's today?
Second.
The West is banged up.
I don't think the
December
Houston
2nd.
Rockets finish top 4 seed.
How about top 6? Top 6?
Now we're
Now
getting
we're talking.
closer.
Okay, we're getting there. We did have that crazy moment that you very quickly alluded to. We haven't had a good Dillon Brooks moment in some time, and so here we get one with SGA, no less.
A little Canadian-friendly fire here.
I was going to say, before we post, just know they played this summer
A
together.
little Canadian-friendly fire
Canadians
here.
are friendly.
You know, a lot of times your teammates, security, and everybody else escalate these things more than just the 2 guys. Sometimes if you let 2 guys wrestle for a basketball and nobody steps in, I guarantee it'll be over in 4 seconds. Guarantee it.
And SGA knows his tactics
He's
more
laughing.
than anybody. This was friendly. This isn't a story. This is
he's laughing about
They
it.
played in the Olympics together this summer. This is all fine.
Can't we just enjoy it though?
It's awesome.
It's like crazy smiles, like very
I
quickly.
love all of that. I love that. And by the way, that is what Dillon Brooks brings too. That is
know.
that's his thing. Like there's value there.
I'm a fan. I am a fan of the shenanigans. I think it's hilarious. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, a little in or out. You know what? We'll take this thing out west, shall we?
We
Oh
shall.
wait, are you gonna say something negative about the Spurs? Great. Stick around.
We're not talking about the Spurs.
Oh, they're coming up.
Run it back, run it up.
Well, believe it or not, we're about a quarter of the way through this bad boy already this season. Top 8 playoff spots is what we want to look at right now. Some of the Western Conference teams that in or out here in a few months. So, first up, in the 10th spot, the San Antonio Spurs.
Out.
See you later.
You guys are real turds.
I mean, I like the odds is the only thing that I like
you do?
here.
You like
Minus
that?
590, but no. I mean, the future's great. I think just the West is too deep. The Spurs aren't there yet.
They're beating teams they have no business beating.
I think plus 410 is a safe. They're not making the playoffs.
I'm gonna bet yes, they are gonna make the playoffs.
Not making the playoffs. Like Chandler just alluded to, the future is bright. This is going to be a team that's going to give the league headaches for years and years to come. It ain't going to be 2024, 2025.
I think play-in then. I'm gonna go ahead and say they're in the play-in. Saying it now.
You can say whatever you
Mark
like.
it. I'll bet you guys
It's
a
free.
gazillion dollars. Fine, then let's move on to the 9 and 12, a much worse record. Sacramento Kings, who are currently in the 12th spot. Lou, making the top 8.
Right now, I'm going to have to say no. They're not healthy, until they get this team back on track with everybody being on the floor from top to bottom. This is one of those teams they're built to last with everybody. That's when you bring DeMar DeRozan over in the offseason and you have De'Aaron Fox, you have Sabonis. These guys hadn't been on the floor. They hadn't been able to put the chemistry together how they would like to move forward, and so I'm going to have to say no.
Yeah, I'm with Lou. No, I think they're a play-in team that could be a mismatch nightmare for whoever they draw. And like DeMar being out has hurt them. Fox has been straight balling. I love him, but no, not.
No? Okay, that's 2 no's. Interesting. The Timberwolves, we talked about them at the top of the show. Right now, they're in the 11th spot. Will they make the top 8 spot, Chandler?
Mm-hmm. They will. I think they will. I think Anthony Edwards will kind of figure this out. I think the more reps Randall gets, Dante DiVincenzo, he's struggled. He hasn't been New York Dante DiVincenzo.
No, he hasn't.
We haven't even seen that version of him yet. This team is good enough to win games on the defensive end. They have that DNA. So as soon as they figure out these personal issues that Ant is alluding to, I think the Timberwolves will definitely be a top 8 team.
What if they don't figure it out? Because Anthony Edwards, I don't think suffers fools lightly. And if this thing continues to be a little bit wonky, that could really self-destruct.
Yeah, they're on the bubble for me, man. I love Ant-Man, and I think he's talented enough by himself to will this team to a playoff position. That's just me personally speaking. Now, if I'm giving you my expert opinion, it's going to take a team. It's going to take the totality from top to bottom for them to be able to compete for one of those top 8 spots. Something is off in Minnesota. I don't like the mix. Last year, the floor was open, the lanes were open. It looks like that they're closing in on them just based on the personnel that they have. If they can't write this thing very soon, I'm going to have to say no.
The Clippers, Norman Powell's back, y'all. That's kind of fun. They're in the 7th seed right now. So yes or no to that one, Lou?
I give them a yes. They're in playoff contention right now. They've been consistent enough to keep themselves from 1 to 8, even early on in the season, where we were still unsure whether James Harden could lead this team without Kawhi Leonard and the personnel that they had. They've been able to stay consistent and keep their heads above water. So I'm gonna say yes.
I think no, and I think James Harden has been so good. Norman Powell has been unbelievable, and in the Zubox he's been solid. But I just think that first of all, James Harden better stay healthy, because if he goes down, they have absolutely no chance, and they're riding him. And he last night he had a great game. He looked like vintage James Harden. But I think there's 2 teams that we're about to get to that are better.
I know, but we still have 8 spots.
Well, we're out mentioning another 5 that are a lock.
Well, there's 6.
Hold on, that's where's your math going right now? Okay, so let's get to the next 2.
Mind up, look.
I know, I'm trying to figure out who you have
His
ahead.
mind is made.
The Rockets, we just discussed, in the 2 spot. You wouldn't put them in the top 4, but you'll put them in the top 8?
Correct, so now
Okay,
we're getting
so
there.
now we're getting somewhere.
They will. I don't think there'll be home court advantage, but yes, I think for sure they will be a playoff team. They've showed us enough now, right? It's not just a small sample size. This team is for real. This team is deep. This team defends. And they have Sengun, who I love, who I think is probably the most underrated player in the NBA.
You think he's underrated?
So that's Minnesota.
Okay.
That's Houston. And now there's one more I have for you guys that's coming up.
Oh, wow, what a treat. Lou, yeah? Yes, we're good with Rockets.
I like Houston to be top 8.
Easy.
You know, for us to...
It'd be weird if we said no at this point.
Yeah,
It would be very weird.
Yeah, obviously, for us to have a debate about whether they're top 4 or not, and then jump out of the window and say that they won't even be one of the top 8 teams.
Be very rude.
Of course, I got Houston Rockets making the playoffs.
Okay, so then Lakers is our last team to discuss. They're right now in that 6th spot, and so yes, you're saying yes already.
I think yes. I think a healthy LeBron, obviously, and a healthy Anthony Davis is monumental to this team. But I do think that the continuity that they have, the new system, the new coach, the aggression that I just see from Anthony Davis, the surprise, for most people, Dalton Connect, how good he's been off that bench. I still think they're going to end up getting more from Rui, from Gabe Vincent, from D'Lo. I think this team has enough. I think they're better than the Clippers, so I have to give them the nod over them.
I'm trying to figure out who else you have ahead that.
Memphis,
So you have Rockets,
OKC,
Lakers, OKC, you have Denver.
Denver, Phoenix.
What about Golden State?
They're a fringe. They're a Rafe LaFringe.
So that puts they're like a.
Oh God.
So that's like a 9. You got a solid 9.
Well, Warriors. I think Warriors, Lakers, Rockets. They're all gonna battle for those bottom 3 spots in the playoffs.
I like Lakers to get in.
Minnesota, I think Minnesota's good. Dallas is gonna figure it out.
LeBron alone will get the Lakers in somehow.
AD also.
Yeah.
AD also. When you talk about that dynamic duo, and they were able to win a championship together. I think they figured it out enough where they give themselves an opportunity to go to the playoffs, and they figure it out from there. I love the way that LeBron has always micromanaged seasons in his career. He's get me to this point, and I'll get you to the next step. We get to that step, we'll start worrying about that one. I think he does enough to get them to the playoffs.
Isn't it crazy? Memphis is just their shoe. Like, they're just in. Like, they're that good, right? Like, where they're in.
How are they just in? They got to stay healthy. These are big ifs.
Well, it's a game, Michelle. I know
Over the
we're
years,
guessing,
they've been an in team. The only thing that stopped them is health. With them having their best player back on the floor, they're for sure in.
That's what I mean. Like, the West
down.
is loaded.
Oh, it's
like, there's going to be a good
actually,
team.
yeah.
There's going to be like a Sacramento or a Clippers that does not make the playoffs.
The Spurs team that might miss just barely.
Yes.
Thank
it's
you.
crazy.
Stop laughing when I just say the name Spurs. That's very rude.
I do. This is why I love the new format of going to top 16 teams. This year, if they did that, there would be 13 West teams and 3 East teams.
I would
if they
love
did
it.
the best 16 teams.
This would be the year to do it to prove why it's a good idea.
You just can't do it. If
But you could
Phoenix
do it.
has to play New York.
Then you just expand it.
I think they're going to do it. I think they just lengthen the series.
It's already
the
2
quality
months
of games
long.
you're going to get is going to be ridiculous.
No, it's going to be great.
Do a neutral site, whatever it is.
I don't know
can't
if you
do
do that.
that.
That's money.
Take
that's
take
a lot
away
of
home
money.
court
Made that up on
advantage.
the fly.
We're just gonna
Stupid
sit
idea.
here. Let's just mumble the rest of this argument and then run out the clock. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, is there breaking news? Is this LeBron's final season? Could it be?
What?
That's a tease. We'll be right back.
Run it up, the running back.
For you, Lakers Timberwolves coming up on NBA TV. Both eliminated from the NBA Cup. Which one's the bigger surprise, Lou?
Is that official?
It's official. It's math.
Officially official.
Yeah.
We will not see them in Las Vegas.
I hate that. But I like the
Wow, you took it personally.
I like the Lakers tonight. I think the Lakers hold it down in Minnesota. Haven't been a great.
Hold on.
So you're
Wait
gonna
a
answer that
minute, so
question?
you're No. We're not skipping over the fact that both of them have been eliminated from the Cup. And which one are you surprised by more? The defending champions?
Well, I had something to say. I wanted to say what I wanted to say.
Land the plane.
But which one I'm more surprised about? I'm definitely more surprised about the Lakers. I've been outspoken about LeBron, and when it's time to put on a show and be
Vegas.
be one of the guys of the league, and I'm gonna put on a show and I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm going to Vegas. LeBron James has always been that guy for the league, and so that's the biggest surprise for me.
I'm going to go the opposite. I think it's Minnesota just because of the reasons we talked about. I think this such high hopes, what they gave us a little bit last year. They make this trade that no one really, made sense of, and now they're struggling. There's internal problems here. And it looks to like the Minnesota Timberwolves have gotten worse. You told me before this season, I have them a top 4 team, not the Houston Rockets, not the Memphis Grizzlies. So to me, this team has been an extreme letdown, and I do think there's time for them to get better. Now getting to jump to 8 points is a lot.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points tonight, so I would probably ride with the Lakers plus 8, but.
What is Lakers back-to-back? They're on a back-to-back.
But you know what? No one played big minutes last night. D'Lo didn't play. Austin Reeves didn't play. I think they have enough to keep it close.
Yeah.
I don't know how long. I think D'Lo's sick, and Austin Reeves was from the fall from trying to, dunk that one play. But so I don't know how serious those injuries are. If they play, even if they don't, I think the Lakers have enough to keep this one
Close. Yeah.
8's a lot. 8's a lot.
It's a lot. By the way,
But also Minnesota is like going through this thing
They
where like
kinda have to.
it's going to go one way or the other. They're going to like lose tonight, and it's going to be all hell breaks loose, or they're going to figure it out and they're going to start rolling.
Anthony Edwards.
No, I like Lakers
flip
plus 8.
out.
Final answer.
Final answer. There was a little talk this weekend about this could be LeBron's final season. Who's buying that? There's no way he does it without an announcement. No chance.
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah.
He's not sneaking
First of all,
off.
he's too healthy. He's too good.
Yeah,
he's
also
playing at
that.
such an elite level right now. There's
Kendrick Perkins started this whole thing.
That's where this started?
This started with Kendrick
Such a-
Perkins. He missed a dunk in warm-ups, and Kendrick Perkins said it's looking like LeBron's last season.
Come on, that can't
And
be it.
It caught wildfire. Yes, it caught wildfire.
Have y'all
I
not
could be
been paying
referencing the wrong moment, but this definitely started with Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah, no, I don't.
We
see
are
it.
dumb. We are dumb people. All right, prop party. So yes, no, it is not his final season. You will have a heads up, I promise. Prop party time, Chandler.
I kind of just covered it, but I like the Lakers plus 8. I don't think they played too big of minutes last night. I hope, obviously, this is including Anthony Davis and LeBron James playing in a back-to-back. I'm assuming they get one of those D'Lo or Austin Reeves back tonight, but that's a lot of points. Struggling Minnesota Timberwolves, they're trying to figure it out. I like the Lakers plus 8. And again, whether those guys are in or those guys are out, Anthony Davis has got to set the tone. Go right at Rudy Gobert. Players love to go at him. Defensive Player of the Year. I like Anthony Davis going over 26.5.
He is not liked. Lou?
Yeah, I'm doubling down on LeBron James not being his last season. So tonight, big showing LeBron. I got LeBron over 22.5, 28 to make it specific.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Lakers money line on the road.
Have we been keeping track of Lou's specific predictions? I feel like
I'm
we need
probably
to.
over.
All right, we need to be on that. I actually have the Wolves winning tonight because I think they have to. I think Anthony Edwards is, he's going to crush some souls.
We shall
if they don't.
see.
And Gobert, over. Rebounds. That'll
Rudy
do it for
Gobert.
us. See you mañana.